Catherine, thank you so much for being here today. And when I contacted your Embroiderers Guild, I thought, well, this will be like I used to do on cup towels, and you do the French knot for the hair. I just loved embroidery, but it's certainly come a long way from when I first learned how. How did you get so interested and involved?
Oh, my mother introduced me to the Embroiderers Guild of America, but not until I was an adult. So I didn't have the opportunity to stitch as a child. But I took right to it, and I'm addicted, and I love sharing.
Well, and I think you must be much more artistic than what I used to do on those cup towels.
Yeah, that's where we all start
That's
with
where
the
we
first stitch. Yes.
Right. Well, let's take a look at some of these, which are, I wish people could see them as beautifully as we can, but we'll hope that they show off. This is this whole set is on maps.
Yes.
And they're commemorative maps. Some of them have longer history behind them than others, but we could do any state, couldn't we?
Absolutely. This one was my first map that I did to commemorate the 400-year anniversary of Jamestowne settlement, the first permanent English settlement in North America.
And it's kind of interesting to look at the back. Of course, your work is almost as beautiful on the back side as it is
Thank
the
you.
front.
It's almost reversible. But this is hand-dyed linen, and you can see some light and dark areas in it. But you can see without the hand-painted water, it's not quite as interesting as just stitching.
And that's almost a whole other segment that we could talk about. But maybe before we go on to the next one, which is my original home state, tell us how you get the picture on the linen and how that all comes about.
I start with a map, and I try to size it to the piece of linen that I want to work on. And then I just trace it on, just with a small micron pen, a .01 nib, and very tiny, and then just stitch around.
And I used to embroider with like 3 strands of embroidery thread.
No.
You know what that's like.
Yes.
What do you use? What type of thread and thickness?
I use 1 single ply of the anchor floss. And so just go and that will cover up that little micron pen line, which is permanent.
Which is what you're wanting to do.
And that covers it. And then once the waterways and the land areas are painted, then I just begin putting in beautiful motifs. So these maps, we want to have beautiful pictures in them. We don't want them to be a road map with just names,
boring.
this town and that town. So we decide what the purpose of the map is, if it's a commemorative or it's showing a certain area of the country.
Well, let's go back to the Texas map, because somebody also took a picture of that one and put it on the front of their CD.
Yes, and Arbutus Cunningham is a Texas storyteller, and she saw my map on the internet and asked if she could use a picture of it for her. She's a wonderful storyteller. So this map is supposed to look about 200 years, not quite as old as the Jamestown map. So that's why the colors are lighter and there's more colors in them. So.
I love the pictures of things that are symbolic. That's what's beautiful to me.
So through that map I was able to meet her, and that was very, very interesting.
Oh, how nice. Then we have Florida.
This is a current, one of my current maps that commemorates the 500-year anniversary of Ponce de Leon's landing in Florida. So that was quite a big commemorative, and with the Florida map there's a lot more color to it. So you can see the beautiful sunrise and just all their state quilt and just all sorts of interesting historical details to it.
I don't know. This one's got lots of beautiful color added to it too.
This one commemorated the Woodlawn Exposition Needlework 50th anniversary. So down at the bottom there is a cartouche, or just a box that tells a little bit about it, and they are on the Potomac River, and you can see Mount Vernon and Washington, D.C. So that was for their 50th anniversary.
Well, how nice. This is California.
And that one was also a request for some of the ladies in Southern California. So we decided on doing the 21 missions of Southern California.
And tell us about the little book.
The little book is a companion piece. When we have class, not everybody wants to do the whole map in class. They might prefer to do it at home when they're in a quiet time. So we work on small journals which have the same techniques that are in the larger maps.
And this shows maybe in comparison. And I was noticing on the back, you do, I was going to ask, do you have a signature block and date or anything
yes,
that identifies?
It's called the maker's cartouche, and you'll see them in a lot of mine. It'll just say who made it and by whom, and then each person puts their own name in it, and you date it also.
And it's wrought. I've not ever seen that. I've seen designs or sewn or created or something.
It's kind of an old-fashioned word, yeah. So a lot of these look like samplers, old samplers, and that is what they would, sometimes the wording for that.
And bookmarks, and we have several things along the front, but again, I wanted to show the back how it is beautiful, but without all the color added, it almost looks plain, doesn't it?
Exactly. So right away, I like to get the painting in there so that it will be pretty, and I want to come back to it and finish it.
Do you ever hope to, or maybe you already have you done one of these for every state?
No, I generally try to do commemoratives so that they are historically important. Rather than just one state, another state. But there are always commemoratives coming around, so that if you have a certain area,
too hard.
So you'd look around and see significant dates, and then that can help you decide on a map you'd like to do.
And do other people in your guild do this type of map work, or is this kind of your specialty?
I started this type of needlework map, but a lot of people will take classes with me and design their own maps.
How exciting.
So they might want to do a map of their home or their county or their state.
Oh, that's a great idea. What a nice thing then, like you say, to leave. It's history besides just a beautiful piece of art.
Exactly, and they do make wonderful gifts. So,
I would think so too.
Become family heirlooms.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for showing us these, and I just admire you for all the hours and hours of work that have gone into it.
Well, thank you. It's just a very enjoyable and relaxing
it looks like
technique.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Sheryl.